All right, let's jump into it, Richie. Florida State survives and advances in an elimination game. And, I think your worst fear is, man, could Florida State find a way to respond? Link talked about them, how they would respond, how they have responded all year. And he said they would respond in this game, and they absolutely did. We'll talk a little bit about the Tennessee game on Friday. Obviously, that's been belabored over enough, but we'll start out with the good news. Florida State beats Virginia in a must-win game. I think the worst thing you would have wanted is obviously to go 0-2, to feel like you kind of blew it and got robbed on Friday night, and then maybe just let that hang over, maybe let that kind of crush your soul into losing to Virginia. And Florida State was just the better team today. Carson Dorsey's been phenomenal in all three postseason starts. He really wasn't very good in the ACC tournament, but since then, he's been lights out. He's probably been. It's hard to quantify, the difference in, what your hitters have done for you and what your pitchers have done for you. But as good as Arnold has been at times, he's probably been your best pitcher in the postseason. What he's done really in all 3 weeks is pretty phenomenal. And he's just been special. Whitaker's up there too as being really, really good for you. But Carson Dorsey really good. Jaime Ferrer, 2 home runs, just. Massive performance. Canada gets it done again, and the Noles find a way to not go home 0-2 in Omaha, which again would have been everybody's worst nightmare. So, how hyped up were you during the game today?
Oh man, it was a blast. You talk about the possibility of going. They call it 0-2 in barbecue. I tweeted at the Barstool Virginia account 0-2 in BB Who's, but I didn't get as much play as I thought I would get from that. But that's okay. They don't all land. But yeah, just watching the game, being Puerto Rican, I couldn't be more happier for Ferrer. I think, what he's done this postseason is amazing. And, what a weapon to have when he's not considered one of your best players, but what he's done. And it's not easy hitting the ball out of the park in Omaha. It's a lot.
And he just keeps doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot different than Dick Hauser, and to do it twice in one game, 3 times since he got to Omaha, it's been so fun to watch. And to your point, Dorsey, he pitched a gem. If you can get 7+ innings out of a starter, that's a win every single time. I don't care what team you are, who you're throwing, 7+ innings in your starter. That's amazing. And, I think he probably wanted to keep going, but I think Lake probably made the right decision to pull him when he did, given the pitch count where he was at. But it was it was nice, TJ, because it was kind of like a rest easy kind of game because Florida State jumped out early. Virginia made a little bit of a run, but you never really felt like you were in danger of losing that game. And it was just a nice, comfortable, fun watch on the couch today.
Yeah, for sure. And, you got up, you score one early, you add another one, you add a couple more, and then, Jaime's 3-run, Jaime's bomb helps you relax a ton. Yeah. Shout out Lodi's, who hit one out. He had another one that went to the warning track here in Omaha that would have been a home run in Dick Hauser. And so it was good to see him get one out. But yeah, Carson Dorsey, Brendan Oxford, who, Link talked about this in the press conference, obviously probably didn't feel very happy after Friday night and the way that went down, but really impressive for him to bounce back and really shut things down for you late. I thought that he was really good outside of, he did give up a double that came after like a 7-minute delay when the umpire got hurt. I don't think anybody was intentionally like trying to delay
that
things.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, like I think outside of that, into him. Yeah, I think that without that, he's pitching great. So I don't know if the delay impacted it or not. He gave one double. I mean, at the end of the day, that's fine. Like you did enough to get us the win. Obviously, you feel way, way better coming off the field with that. All right, we'll get right back to talking about Florida State baseball in the College World Series. But first, I want to give just a little bit of love to our friends over at the Mango Board. Listen, we've been telling you about them for a couple of weeks now. I hope that you've picked up some mangoes at your local grocer. Just a quick reminder about the Mango Board. They are literally just trying to get the word out about the best fruit that you can buy when you're shopping at your local grocer. If you don't believe me, you absolutely should. If it's been a minute since you've had a mango, maybe jump out today and go grab some. But I appreciate the Mango Board for their support of not only FSU athletics, you see some events they're involved with there on the screen, but also this program that we've got going here at Double Fries No Slaw. Again, mangoes are the best fruit that you can buy out there. Make sure that you're supporting them by grabbing some mangoes the next time you go shopping. My biggest takeaway was probably what Link said in his press conference on Friday night, and just his confidence in the fact that the team would respond. And I think that it's really easy to say that, like, oh, I'm confident they'll respond. I'm sure they'll respond. I'm sure they'll come back. I'm sure they'll play better. I'm sure they'll rebound from this. But, man, that is a really easy thing to say and a really tough thing to do. I think Florida State fans have even just been gutted by this last couple of days and the way that game went down. I spoke with somebody today that said, like, dude, I literally just stared at my TV for like an hour after that. And I was just like watching SportsCenter. I was like, I don't even care about any of these highlights. Like, I just didn't know how to move. Like, just a crushing loss. And a game that I will talk a little more about Tennessee in a minute, but a game that you not only like gave away, you felt like you were kind of robbed in. Like, you felt like, you kind of got screwed a little bit. And you gave, the umps a chance to screw you, but it was rough. But anyway, I think Link's confidence there came from the fact that they have responded all year. I think back to that Clemson series, and they still got swept, but every game they came out and they played. They blew I think they had a grand slam early in that game one, and they ended up losing that game by quite a bit. I don't know I can't remember if they were run ruled or not, but they ended up losing that game by quite a bit. And then they came out in game two and had like an 8-1 lead. Now the bullpen blew that, but that bullpen blowing it late wasn't them not responding. They responded in the game. They just couldn't hold on to it. And then kind of the same thing in the next game. They had a big lead again, and the bullpen again blew it. But they responded. They were up like 7-8 runs in that game too. And so you think about that. You think about the way they ended the year against Pitt and Stetson, and losing that series at Pitt, the worst team in the ACC, and then you go lose on the road at Stetson, and you're like limping into the ACC tournament. And you make the ACC championship game, and then you go 5-0 in regionals and supers. They've responded really well all year, and they did it here against UVA as well. And so to me, that's been what's most impressive, is the fact that they I certainly didn't expect them to come out and quit. I certainly didn't expect them to come out and just hang their heads and say like, well, that's that, we're out. But just the way they responded today in not a game that was like, oh, well, both teams played and they were just happened to be a little bit better. No, like Florida State dominated this game today against Virginia, and I think that's what was really impressive. They responded well, and didn't make Link a liar with his comments on Friday night by like not responding well.
Yeah, no, they were clearly the better team today, and that was clear from really early on, first three innings. And to your point, TJ, and what Link said is that this team does respond, and it's an easy thing to say. Well, oh, we're going to respond. We're going to do well. We're going to, we have the fight left in us. But to actually come out and do it is a completely different animal. And I think that was probably the most impressive thing to me. And it's a shame because you mentioned the bullpen, how they just don't have the arms in the bullpen. And I don't know how many college teams do, but this is arguably the best offense in the country. I think you could easily make that argument. And it's a shame that they may not get to seek that or reach that full potential, because, man, when this offense is good, it's good. When it's bad, it's still pretty good. It'd be like that 2013 Florida State football team, scoring 31 points. That's good, but that's not what we expect. And I feel like that's kind of what where we are right now. Obviously we'll see if it's Tennessee or North Carolina on Tuesday. TJ, I want another shot at Tennessee. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to play them one way or the other, right? Unless North Carolina loses, and then you lose to North Carolina, and then you don't get that second shot. Yeah, people have debated this, and in the Discord that we run, people have talked about what would be better. What would be better here, one way or the other. But essentially, if North Carolina wins, you're going to play Tennessee on Tuesday, And then the winner of that game, State's Florida State, has to play North Carolina twice to advance. If North Carolina loses, Tennessee wins, then you'd play North Carolina on Tuesday, and then you'd have to beat Tennessee twice to move on. If you asked me what I thought was an easier game on Tuesday, I would be pretty honest with you, and I tell you that I think it would be easier for the Noles to win against North Carolina on Tuesday. But if you're looking at what would be the easiest path to get to the final series, which is where we'd like to go, I think the answer to that is I'd rather see Tennessee tomorrow, on Tuesday, and have to beat North Carolina twice. Not that would be easy either, but I have a hard time seeing us beat Tennessee twice. They play us really well, even with our top arms. It'd be hard for me to envision a scenario where we could beat them twice. Hard to envision a scenario where we beat them once on Tuesday. But again, we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, debate will rage on there. People have differing opinions there. I thought the way you saw the game, and I think that is the goal. Like Florida State's not. I think there's different ways that Florida State could play and manage and coach to win one game, right? And I think they could. Yeah. There's a scenario where they could go out there and try and win one game on Tuesday. You saw in Charlotte, they pitched Jamie Arnold like a bullpen, like kind of what would have been a bullpen session in the Tuesday game. So in theory, you could see Jamie Arnold pitch an inning or two on Tuesday. I don't necessarily know that you will, because I think the plan would be to maybe use him on Wednesday or Thursday if you made it there. But it's the old adage of like, well, are you trying to just win this one game, or do you want to win the College World Series? Yeah. And so it's not, oh, well, I understand the thinking of, oh, well, you got to win Tuesday to get to Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. I understand that for sure. I'm not saying that's inaccurate. But if you deplete your entire staff on Tuesday and don't leave anything in the tank left for those other games, then you were just playing to win that one Tuesday game. Now, scenarios arise, situations arise, and things change in games where you've got to lead and you've got to throw somebody out there that you weren't planning on pitching because you need to hold on to a lead. That's different than the way you're setting up a game or the way that you're trying to start a game. So I don't know, Richie. I'll say this though. I think so my preference would be that Tennessee loses. That said, I think they just hit a 3-run bomb and they've got a lead at the time we're recording this. But so probably not. It'll probably be UNC, and then you go from there. That said, like the path for Florida State to potentially do this, they need 3 more wins. And what I think that's going to look like is I think you're going to probably see a lot of bullpen arms on Tuesday. I think Wednesday, maybe you get Connor Whitaker back, who pitched. I think he threw 71 pitches on Friday. That's 2 days short rest, not a full week. But he didn't go 100. He didn't go that traditional 100 pitches. You probably wouldn't see him for like 6 or 7 innings. But if he could give you 4 or 5 on Wednesday, that'd be something. And then I think you'd pitch Jamie Arnold on Thursday. That'd be 1 day short rest. He pitched on Friday. You get him back out there on Thursday. I don't think you can do that if you pitch him on Tuesday, maybe. But I think that's why you probably don't pitch him on Tuesday and you try and get him for Thursday. Is that a likely scenario for the Noles to win the next 3 games? Probably not. I still think it'd be incredibly tough. But that to me, the most important one is the next one, right? It's find a way to win on Tuesday with your bullpen. But it's not just the bullpen. The offense has been like lights out. They've got 18 runs in 2 games at the College World Series. Now they are the only team that is at the time of this recording that has finished 2 games. And so maybe it's a little bit unfair to say like, well, they're the offensive champs in this series because they've scored 18 runs. Everybody else has only played 1 game, but Florida scored 2, A&M scored 3, NC State scored 4, Kentucky 5. You look back to Friday and you see that UNC scored 3, Virginia 4 total in both games. Tennessee did have 12. So obviously they're kind of the offense that looks like they could match you in this thing. But if Florida State's offense can continue to tack on and pile on, you scored 11 against the best team in the country. You scored 7 against a really, really good Virginia team and a pitching staff that has been very good this year. If your offense can continue to roll, which I don't know that they can score, an average of 9 runs a game for the rest of the series. If they do, they're probably going to be pretty happy with how things go. But if the offense can continue to win, I mean, that's your path. Like, the offense is going to have to continue to match, and they've been really good. And they haven't done it with, I'll say this, Cam Smith or James Tibbs going crazy just yet. Both those guys have made some big plays. They've had some big plays, but those guys haven't been the ones to just absolutely go berserk yet. All right, I do want to finish this up talking just a little bit about Tennessee. I know that's not a fun thing to talk about, but it is a little bit easier because the Seminoles won on Sunday to get back to 1-1, to stay alive in Omaha, to not go 0-2 in barbecue. Tennessee game was honestly, if you were a neutral fan, it was a phenomenal baseball game. You had guys talking. It was chippy. Not really many Florida State guys talking, but you had the Tennessee coaches and players. They're certainly very annoying. If you root for them, I'm sure you love it. But yeah, they're annoying. I saw UF fans kind of talking about that. You kind of found out why, right? And so yeah, it sucked. Last Friday night was terrible. I actually got up at 3:30 on Friday morning to fly back to Tampa from out of town, and then I stayed up till 1:30 staring at my computer screen after the loss because I could not believe the way in which Florida State dropped that game. Honestly, a mix of a couple of things. A mix of you giving the game away and then also getting jobbed at a pretty bad moment. I thought the umps were very inconsistent all game. I thought that they weren't consistent with the types of pitches that they were calling strikes. Like, sometimes they go, sometimes you see an ump, like, for lefties, he'll extend the zone a little bit, or righties, he'll extend the zone. Like, that's fine. What I thought it was, the pitch could be in the same spot, but if it was a changeup or if it was a fastball, that it might be two different calls. And I thought the ump was so bad at that. I thought that, he all night long called breaking balls at the bottom of the zone. And then, you look at the check swing. A lot of people said that should have been an out. That should have been a strike anyway. Like he not only missed the check, but he missed the fact that it was a strike. It was a strike at the bottom of the zone that obviously dipped down lower because it was a breaking ball. Once it had passed the zone and got in the catcher's mitt. But yeah, frustrating. But you had enough chances for the game to not come down to that. You had enough chances for the game to never get to that moment. You can't walk the 8-batter that turns the lineup over. You can't. The fact that we continued to pitch to their all-star that had 6 hits in the game and ended up really doing a lot of damage against you, and the fact that I don't know. I mean, you missed a tough play out in center field, a missed catch by Ross in the top of the 9th. If you make that, the game's over and you win. Link's decision to pull Whitaker out when he did, he kind of talked about Whitaker still having more in the tank. Well, should you have stuck with him? Should you have kept him in if that was the case? I mean, maybe so. I'm not going to question Link, who has Florida State in Omaha here in just his second season, but they're the kind of the things that make you wonder. And then Ox obviously had been nails for you all year and, really struggled at the end of that game and obviously got a little redemption today against Virginia. But, so many things had to go wrong for you to lose that game, and it felt like you didn't put Tennessee away, right? You had a couple guys on an inning or two before. You had some guys on with no outs, and then you just couldn't get the hit that would have maybe broken that up into a 5 or 6 run lead, and instead of being 3 or 4 or 2 in the 9th. And you really had a chance to tack on, and you don't want to get on the offense, right? You scored 11 runs. You hit just about everybody that they brought in from a pitching perspective. But I mean, you did have a chance to tack on, and your offense could have done more. Could have done more early. When you left the bases loaded here, or you overran a base here by West did, or you didn't play as sharp as you should have fielding, right? They could have taken a couple runs away there, and Tennessee gave a lot of opportunities your way too. Like they were not playing super well. The umps were very inconsistent both ways, and unfortunately they were inconsistent one more time where it hurt you the most, right? With 2 outs and 2 strikes in the bottom of the 9th, right? So yeah, blaming the umps. I mean, yeah, you certainly would like them to make that call and get it right. When it is of such heightened importance, blowing a call in the first inning is like blowing a call in the first quarter in basketball. You got a lot of time to come back from that. You got a lot of time to make up from that. When you blow a call on the last strike of the game, not a lot of time there left, right? Now, Florida State still gave up the hit. They were still up 2 runs at that point. They could have certainly still won, but the rebound off of that, they just weren't able to get it done. And, again, I think it was a combination of you blowing the game and then also feeling like it got stolen from you just a little bit. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's the way that things work. Sometimes you have things go against you. Not the first time, not the last time. We'll blame an official over a call in a game. Umpiring at this level is pretty terrible. It is a thankless job, but like most of the things that the NCAA does, it's pretty terrible. And hopefully that gets better. Link talks about with the local media wanting that review, that check swing review, to be something that could be reviewed. And he was told that was a good idea, and then they didn't put it into practice. And so that'd be something that would be cool. I don't know if it would have changed last night or not. I tend to think it would, but yeah, I don't know. Tough, or changed on Friday night. I think it would have, but hard to know that for sure. Might have just stuck with the call. Might have said like not enough there to overturn it. Replay is wildly inconsistent and not much better than the umpiring. The idea that you have to have this metric, this standard of judgment that you have to overcome or overbear, it's tough. But anyway, we'd gotten some questions, we've gotten some asks on thoughts on the Friday night game. Didn't do a reaction to that immediately. Wanted to really see how today went before we did anything, and busy day with Father's Day and everything else. On Tuesday, they'll play the early game. What's ironic is that if Florida beats NC State on Monday, they'll play the late game on Tuesday. So you might have Florida and Florida State both playing each other, playing on the same day as each other. They will not play each other unless they both make the finals. But might have Florida and Florida State playing on the same day as each other in Omaha, which that'd be somewhat fun, I guess. And we'll see. We'll react to that at some point. If they win, it'll probably be pretty quick. If they lose, it might be a couple of days to try and get over it and then talk to you about it. But the baseball team has done a phenomenal job this year. They've been a ton of fun. They've they've proved themselves to be at least a top 6 team in this country. As there are going to be 2 teams eliminated before them, and then if they can win on Tuesday, they prove that they are a top 4 team in the country, or finish as a top 4 team in the country. And then, even if they were to lose on Tuesday and somebody like Florida was to advance, I think you could probably pretty safely say that they're a better team than them. And so maybe right around top 5 is where Florida State will eventually land and end up. And, you certainly want to win it. You certainly want to find a way to win 3 more games and then 2 more after that. But if you're not able to, if you can't get that done, a pretty good year, a pretty special year. In a year you weren't even really supposed to host a regional, you found a way to make it to Omaha and make some noise there. And certainly getting into Omaha was pretty impressive in the way that Noles did it. So, hey, I don't have any shout-outs or anything. Shout out all the dads, Father's Day. Shout out Mike Norvell for being a great dad to Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier. Shout out Link Jarrett for being a good dad this year to Sully and JD. Down there at Miami, 6-0 against those guys, and you'd love to get 2 more against the Gators this year if possible. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, thanks to Mango Board for their support. Fun times. I wore my 11 shirt today on Father's Day. Shout out Garnet and Gold for their support, and go get you an 11 shirt, and maybe it'll bring us some good luck there on Tuesday. But we will talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.